Okay, let's take a look at how to achieve the best performance in FPVSIM drone simulator, specifically for the browser version. The first thing you need to know is the render denominator, which is very different from other games. So for FPVSIM, we use render denominator to control your FPS. The lower the number, the higher FPS it is. If it's too low, it will start jitter. For my setup, I got a 12700K Core i7 and NVIDIA 3080. I can drag this all the way down to 1. So for example here, for the hardware spec, I toggle to low spec. Low spec allows the widest range of compatibility. So even some medium-end phones can run the simulator. But in the meantime, you have higher end-to-end latency. If you toggle it to high spec, then you can start to play with the render denominator. So here I set it to 1. For example, if we set it to 1, right? Let's see what the FPS we get. You can see that I got like over 6,000 FPS. Note that the FPS here is basically how many times we run the graphics loop. It's actually real. It runs over 6,000 per second. But your monitor will only be outputting that many refreshes per second depending on your monitor refresh rate. For example, this monitor is 60 Hz and I got another monitor to 40 Hz. So it will only grab your graphics update 240 times per second. But the higher FPS you have here, the smoother you're gonna get eventually as well. And if we drag this to somewhere higher, right? Let's say drag it to 100. You can see your FPS will naturally drop. See, previously we got like over 6,000. Now it's around 700. Another setting previously you can play was physics FPS. Right now for the new version, V2, we fixed this to 500, but the setting is still left here. So if you drag it, it won't do anything. It will still be fixed back to 500. Okay, that is the render denominator. The second setting I want to talk about is the physics calculation, either using multi-core or single core. That is the setting here. So basically when you set it to single core, your physics will be calculated on the same core as the main thread. The main thread basically doing all your graphics, handling all the inputs, etc. If you set it to multi-core, all the simulation and the physics calculation will be offloaded to a different core. Single core gives you a little better end-to-end latency when you play simple things like racetracks. And multi-core gives you a little higher end-to-end latency, but it's smoother for larger maps. Usually use multi-core for Google Maps, Lake House, floating islands, for example. But depending on your computer. If your computer can handle the larger maps without problem in single core, use single core for lower end-to-end latency. For all these, you can toggle on performance stats to see these diagrams here. That shows you your real-time stats of FPS. Physics flow shows how heavy your physics calculation is. If this is too high, you will start to get inconsistent movements. So try to keep this low. And then the third diagram is memory, showing how much memory you are currently using. So for our browser version, memory is almost negligible. And PID parameter is the same as Betaflight. Basically all the PIDF are real PIDs. It actually runs the PID algorithm. I'm gonna do some tutorial later to describe how to use them. You can find a lot of tutorials online as well how PID and feedforward works. And the other point is make sure you don't have weird browser extensions in use. The way I do it is I create a new profile, basically go to Chrome, right, and add a new profile. Basically, I'll just, for example, here I say simulator, right? New later. and boom, you created a new Chrome profile that doesn't have any weird extensions, and just use this specifically for the simulator, so you don't get these weird extensions affecting your performance. And last but not least is to disable the GPU Vsync and frame rate limit. So how do you do it? In most computers, you will have this Chrome shortcut on your desktop, right? But if you don't, you can go to your Start menu, search for Chrome, right? You should be able to find the Chrome after you're installing it. And open File Location. And then just copy the shortcut over, Ctrl+C and Ctrl+V in desktop. And then you copy over the shortcut, right? But if you already have the shortcut, you don't have to go through that. Then how do you add this to your shortcut? Copy over this command, Ctrl+C, and then go to your shortcut, right-click, go to Properties, and in the target field, move your cursor to the end, and then Ctrl+V, paste the command we just copied. So now your command will look like C program files, Google Chrome application, right? And after, and this is hard to see, but you can see that after chrome.exe, right, it's your command, or sometimes we call it arguments. And that's it. Click apply, OK. Now you can close all of your browsers and then relaunch Chrome by clicking this. You will have Vsync and frame rate limit disabled. Another tip is when I play with the sim, I tend to press F5 to reset the sim states from time to time. Sometimes I feel it helps with the end-to-end latency as well. Do give it a try if you see some weird things. Cool, that's it. Hope it helps. Happy sim.